Hi, welcome back to my channel, and today I'm going to be doing my first ever book haul. Unfortunately, I have only 2 books out of 6 I can possibly have, but it's okay. It's not going to affect the whole book haul anyway, so yeah. Also, the place where I'm filming my videos has actually changed. I'm going to be here for like a few weeks or like a month or so yeah, that was just a random piece of information, but yeah. The first book I'm going to be talking about is Insurgent, and I've actually finished reading it a few days ago, and it's actually part of the Divergent series. And before I talk about it, if you guys haven't seen or know the plot of Divergent, I will link a Divergent book review down there, so you might want to check that out before I start with my summary of this book. So Tris and Tobias must find a way to defeat the erudite and the dauntless traitors who have been under a brain simulation and have just woken up. And they have killed over half of the Abnegation faction. And so basically Tris has this hard drive that contains valuable information that the erudite is after. And the erudite keeps chasing Tris and like the group she is with. And so this is basically the story of them fighting and running away from erudite, and Tris and her friends making allies with other factions or just her friends. And this is actually really interesting and I really loved it, so I'm probably going to do a book review, so stay tuned for that. So the books from now on I will talk about, I haven't actually read it yet, but I got a recommendation from my friends, teachers, and people around me. So the second book is Flipped. This is actually a romance book, I think, and this follows 2 protagonists, Julie Baker and Bryce Losky. And the plot is basically when Julie Baker moves into the town that Bryce Losky is living in, and Julie eventually gets a crush on him and has a crush on him. At first, Bryce is quite annoyed and kind of bothered that Julie is always kind of looking at him and stuff like that. But over the course of 6 years, their feelings for each other flip, change, and like fluctuate. And I'm assuming that's probably why the book is called Flipped. And I'm kind of really excited to read this book because I haven't read a lot of romance books recently, and I think I'd find it really, really interesting. The next book is Eventown, and I also haven't read this yet, but I actually found it on like a famous booktuber's channel, and it's actually quite a famous book, so I kind of ought to read it. So in this story, 11-year-old Elodie moves into a nice, peaceful town with her family. And at first, the town seems like the most ideal and perfect place she could ever imagine. All the fruits are ripe, all the houses are identical, and it just seems quite flawless. But Elodie senses something really weird. Nobody talks about their hometown or where they came from, and people restrain her and stop her from doing new things. She needs to find out what's wrong and what has gotten into these people, why the houses are so identical, why people live the same way. And this is basically the story that follows Elodie into her adventure. So the next book is Renegades, and quite surprisingly, I still haven't read Renegades yet, so I'm going to start on it soon. Anyways, this book takes place in a really futuristic world with superheroes, and there are people called anarchists, I believe, who are kind of like the antagonists of this book. And in order to stop the anarchists, a group of superheroes bond together to form a group called the Renegades. And a few years later, this book is followed by Nova, who is brought up by the anarchists who has the power to put people to sleep. Nova becomes a renegade to bring them down, and I believe this is basically what Renegades is talking about. Like, it's a really famous book, and that's why I was quite surprised that I haven't read it yet. But I'm gonna read it soon, so yeah, I'm probably gonna do a book review on it if I really enjoy it. The next book is They Both Die at the End. So in this book, there's this thing called a death cast, and basically they call you the day you're going to die. It's kind of scary, and so that you can live your last day at your fullest. And so Mateo and Rufus get the call from the death cast on the same day, and they meet through this app where it helps you to connect with people who have also gotten the death cast on the same day, so that you can spend time with them on your last day and stuff. And I think that's basically what this book explores. I'm quite really excited to read this book because I really wanted to read this kind of dystopian, I'm not sure if it's dystopian, but this kind of fantasy book, because it seemed really intriguing and it was recommended by a lot of friends, so I'm quite excited to read it. So the last book is Turtles All the Way Down. And so this book follows the story of this girl named Asa Holmes, who struggles with OCD. This is basically about how Asa rebuilds her relationship with her old childhood friends, Davis Pickett, who was the son of this billionaire named Russell Pickett, and he has basically gone missing. Anyone who has the information about Russell Pickett gets a reward. I think it's like money, and Ava and her friend Daisy are after it. And this follows them trying to figure things out and trying to gather information about where Russell Pickett went and trying to get the reward. This is also This is also written by the author who wrote The Fault in Our Stars, because that book is really famous, and I haven't read it yet. But yeah, when I'm able to read it, I'll probably read it. But I'm going to read Turtles All the Way Down first. So yeah, I hope you guys will check them out too. So this is the end of my first book haul. I really enjoyed it, and please press that like button. It really helps me, and please subscribe for more content. Bye!